Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be repotting my new Dimorphorchis Lowii and seeing what state it's in, whether there's any good roots. I know for instance that this root is very dead already, but this one looks good, so there's a mixture of both. And just assess its general health and pot it up into self-watering leca, which is the medium that I always prefer using. I don't know how well it will take. I can't find all that much information on what kind of media the Dimorphorchis Lowii enjoys. Based on the thick diameter of the roots, I would say that it prefers something airy, which leca tends to be, 40% air if you take the sphere packing rule. And it seems to prefer, it's mostly found in like gullies where rivers or waterfalls are, so high humidity, which makes me think that maybe it's quite tolerant to constant moisture as well. So I figured that self-watering leca could work. And if it doesn't work out with this one, I have a backup Dimorphorchis Lowii, which I will probably try and pot something else just to see what the kind of difference in growth rates. I've already soaked the orchid, so now that all that I need to do is pull it out the pot and assess take out all the medium, which I think will fall away quite easily because the bark isn't that bad and it's rather large grade. And then we'll assess the health of the plant and see what we've got. Alright, I've got my tray there as well. So now all you have to do is you want to take the thicker part of the stem. Oh, actually, let's remove the tag first. You don't want to lose it. You take the thicker part of the stem and you gently pull on it to get it out. Oh, it's inside. There's a pot inside the pot. All right. Potception. I'm gonna put this here for a second and get rid of all this old medium. Okay, so I've removed the old medium from the tray and from the pot as well. And now you can see that actually, while the outside was filled with bark, the inside is a sphagnum moss, which is quite good to know, because if I hadn't known this, I would have been watering it probably far too often. It really did look like pure bark from the outside. I couldn't see any indication of there being a second pot with sphagnum moss. So yeah, I'm very happy I unpotted it now instead of in 2 months after having veritably drowned the roots in the sphagnum moss. So now I'll proceed to gently work away the bark on the outside. Let's see how much just comes falling out when I do this. I'm going to have to definitely cut this plastic pot, because as you can see, the roots are entwined all the way around the outside. And since this is a very small, slow-growing orchid, I definitely don't feel comfortable harming these roots. So the pot has to go, which means that I will be getting my scissors. Okay, I have got my scissors. Even with scissors, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to cut this open without damaging any roots, because it's all around the outside, as you can see. It's not a single place where I could cut straight up. I'm gonna get rid of this root first because it's dead and it's kind of in the way. Just gonna cut it off so it doesn't annoy me. There we go. And then I guess I'll just try and cut away small parts of the pot until I manage to wiggle the plant free. Oh god, go away, root. I wish I had stronger scissors I could actually snip with the tips instead of these pathetic little paper scissors. I'm going to go see if I have something more suitable lying around. Okay, I found a different kind of scissor. It's the type you can use for your nails, and I just tested it and it snips through much more easily. So I think this is definitely the better. There we go, see? So much better. The tools do definitely make a difference to the results. Oh damn, is there a root back here? Because it's going very difficult. Oh, there was a root back there. I just cut through a root. Well, I think this is a little bit unavoidable. There, okay. It's the first part off. Gently tease the roots through. Okay, so that's the bottom part out. And already we can see just from, the outside of this pot and the inside that there are a lot of good roots, but you can see that inside the sphagnum plug, the colors aren't quite as nice. It's starting to look a little bit dodgy, which might have been because I was watering it pretty frequently, because I thought it was very coarse bark that was draining very well. So I'm quite happy. Oh, there's a root behind this. God. Quite happy to have discovered the sphagnum plug on time. Oh, I definitely damaged the root there. It's impossible to do this without casualties. How on earth can I do this best? They go all over the place through all these different little holes. I don't really see a clear path to cut through. This has already been cut, but then how do I cut the rest? Just gonna start by pulling away some of the sphagnum. Maybe that will help me get a clearer view of things. This is a challenging repotting, I have to say. Guess I'll try and... This part's already half done. Try and cut through that part. I think I have bigger scissors for that part. Or box cutter, something like that. There we go, got through. There, okay, great. So that's one part done. The problem is I need to do this at every hole. Or somehow get the roots away from the holes. Oh, maybe I can... So my new plan is to remove the whole bottom part of the holes, basically. So this ring here around the holes. And then see if I can pull it up the pot, if you get what I mean. Either way, it feels good to have a plan. Makes me a little more confident. Oh, no. Alright, first casualty, guys. A perfectly good root was snipped in half by me. As I was afraid of, but let's hope that that's the only one. The good news is that there are a lot of roots available for me to destroy on accident, so, you know, I might be having a hard time, but it's a luxury problem in a way. Very stuck there. Okay, so now I need to gently detach them from the net pot, just as a whole. Let's see if I can... Yes, there we go, I'm getting some movement already. Excellent. These are very well attached. These especially are difficult. Yes, okay. Excellent. Come on. Oh, second casualty. Let's hope there won't be a third. And I don't think there will be, because the net pot is largely free of the roots, which means I can now just cut the last bits without cutting that root, preferably. Oh my god, still not working. That scissor is useless. Ah, this one's still stuck. Gently. Oh, gently. Okay, I think I got it without damaging it too much, but it didn't feel very good for a second there. That root's very much in the way. Oh, it's still not broken. Ow! Got my skin caught between the scissors. Okay, there we go. So in the end, so far it seems like we've had 2 casualties. Let's assess the rest of the damage. Okay, what have I damaged? It looks like in the end, not that much. This wasn't damaged, that was fine. Ah, here. This I think is the one that I snipped clean off. Yeah, that looks like a match. So, and here as well, I'm guessing that's, yeah, also looks like a match. This one. So I think those are my 2 casualties. I think I managed to avoid all the others miraculously, which I'm extremely happy about. I always find working with unknown medium, so medium that I didn't put in myself, but I got from someone else, a little bit icky, because I have had plenty of experiences now with like centipedes hiding between the roots and that kind of stuff, and I don't like bugs at all. So I'm always a little bit on like high alert, a little bit tense when I'm doing this kind of stuff. And you could say, just wear gloves, it makes it a little bit better. It would, but first of all, I'm lazy and I don't want to like find my gloves and put them on and all that. And second of all, I find it difficult to work with gloves. It makes it just a little bit more difficult to feel whether what you're holding is a strand of sphagnum moss or a root, which in general you wouldn't think is so difficult to feel the difference between. But especially when you're working with large clumps of sphagnum moss at the same time, sometimes I have made that mistake in the past, where I just tugged a little bit on what I thought was just a stubborn strand of moss and a root came away. And I don't like that. So I'm doing it without gloves until I see my first sign of pest, and then I run and get my gloves. And now we can properly assess the health of this plant. I think that the roots look excellent. There are a few dead tips, but you know, what orchid that you buy doesn't really. And for the rest, there's a whole mass of still growing roots here. You have a number of growing tips. Here's one. You have, just make sure it's focused. Here's one. You have another one over here. You have one over here, one over here, one over here, down here as well. So this is a very healthy plant. I'm extremely happy with the state of these roots. I still feel incredibly bad about snipping off those 2 healthy roots, but I really did try my best, and I know I did. I couldn't have done better than I did. I'm going to use my scissors to cut away some of the dead roots, because not everything's alive, of course. For instance, this end over here is not in the best state. And of course I cut into the dead tissue, not the live tissue, because if you cut into the live tissue, you'll be leaving a wound, whereas if you cut into the dead tissue, you don't have such a problem. And open wounds can be reinfected, etc. Yeah, the rest looks pretty good actually. Oh, there's another root tip here growing. Now that we have cleaned up this root system, we can take a look at the actual plant, which is, you know, the stem and the leaves and all that, and see whether there's anything to be done there. Actually, the keiki is a lot larger than I thought it was originally, because it starts pretty large, pretty far down. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves, with an 8th one forming now. And sure, the leaves aren't the largest, but that's pretty good. From what I saw from my other Dimorphorchis, which is still in the Netherlands, that's about the size of this keiki. And the main plant has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a 9th leaf coming, but it's overall larger leaf span and all than the keiki. So yeah, I'm extremely pleased with this plant. It looks very good. And I see no sign of pests, no sign of rot, nothing of the sort. Excellent! We can get to potting this up. Alright, I've got my bucket of leca right here, and I've got my pot with wicks through it over here, and this is the pot it came in. The plants at Orchidarium tend to come in high quality, hard plastic translucent pots, so I just reuse them. They're fantastic. So the first things first is that we'll put a bottom layer of leca. So then we'll take our Dimorphorchis Lowii and put it in the pot, measure it up a bit, see if the height of the leca is good enough or whether it needs a little more. I think it's good. This is a good height. And then we start adding the leca around the plant. Alright, and she's all potted up. You can see that there's a lot of leca in this pot. I've tried my best to make all the roots, as many roots as I can, stay on the medium and direct the growing tips back down into it. I haven't always succeeded, like this one I really didn't know how to do it with. That's just, it's going where it wants to go. As for the rest, it seems to have gone quite well. This one was already so arched, I really couldn't find a way to really force it down unless I broke it, and I didn't want to break it. That seemed a bit too much. There's no point to that. So this is the end result. So this was a pretty challenging repot, especially because of that inner net pot, which I wasn't aware of when I started this with the sphagnum plug. Having good tools makes a large difference. Those scissors I had, they just weren't working. But these little nail scissors, it made quite a lot of this difference. It cut through the pot much easier, which then meant I had to use less force, which means I had more control. So I didn't damage many roots. In the end, we had 2 roots that were damaged by the repotting process, which honestly I think is pretty good. And now we'll see how well it takes to self-watering leca. I'll be leaving it on my horticultural heating mat over the winter because the Dimorphorchis Lowii is a pretty hot grower. I think in its natural habitat it doesn't really get exposed to temperatures under 23 degrees centigrade, something like that. So I definitely won't be leaving it in self-watering, which has a lot of evaporative cooling around the roots, without it going on a heating mat. It will be a new heating mat 24/7. And we'll see how well it does there. I hope it manages to thrive. And if not, we have a do-over with the other orchid coming from the Netherlands. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye!